The Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow looked calm, formal, and perfectly British. But underneath that elegant shape, it was one of the most radical cars the company had ever built. It was smaller outside, roomier inside, technically advanced, and strangely modern for a machine wearing the Spirit of Ecstasy. Subscribe if you love classic car stories. Today, we're revealing the hidden engineering, unusual decisions, and forgotten legacy behind the Silver Shadow. The Rolls-Royce that quietly killed coach building. The most surprising thing about the Silver Shadow was not what it added, but what it quietly ended. For decades, a Rolls-Royce was often a chassis first and a body later finished by traditional coach builders for owners who wanted something personal and grand. But in 1965, the Silver Shadow arrived with a modern monocoque body, meaning the structure and body were built as one complete car. That sounded ordinary to many buyers, but for Rolls-Royce, it was a revolution hidden beneath polished paint and chrome. It made the car stronger, more space-efficient, and better suited to modern production. The practical benefit was a Rolls-Royce that felt less like a ceremonial carriage and more like a properly engineered luxury saloon. In doing so, it gently closed the door on an old world of bespoke motoring. The Citroen secret under a Rolls-Royce. Beneath the calm British dignity of the Silver Shadow was a detail that felt almost scandalous: hydraulic technology linked to Citroen. Rolls-Royce used a high-pressure hydraulic system for the brakes and self-leveling suspension, drawing from ideas made famous by the French Citroen DS. On paper, that sounds like an unlikely partnership between crude tradition and Parisian engineering imagination. In practice, it helped the Silver Shadow glide over poor roads while keeping its body composed, even when passengers and luggage changed the load. The system also gave the car powerful disc braking at all four corners, an important step for a heavy luxury saloon. This was not technology for showing off at a motor show. It was hidden engineering designed to make discomfort disappear before the passengers even noticed it. Smaller outside, bigger inside. The impossible brief. One of the cleverest tricks of the Silver Shadow was that it looked more compact than the old Silver Cloud, yet felt more useful inside. That was not an accident. It was the result of a very difficult brief. Rolls-Royce needed a car that suited narrower city streets, modern garages, and changing owner habits without making passengers feel shortchanged. The monocoque structure helped free up space because the car no longer needed the same separate chassis arrangement underneath. That meant more room for people, luggage, and the quiet comfort expected from the Spirit of Ecstasy on the bonnet. It was a surprisingly practical solution wrapped in formal luxury. The Silver Shadow proved that a Rolls-Royce did not need to be visually enormous to feel important. The silent 110 mph drawing room. The Silver Shadow's performance was not meant to shout, and that was exactly the point. Unlike sports saloons that announce their speed with noise and drama, this car made fast travel feel strangely calm. Period testers described it crossing long European distances at serious motorway speeds, while the cabin stayed almost unnervingly quiet. The large V8 engine did not need to behave like a racing unit. It simply delivered smooth, effortless power with very little fuss. That gave the driver a hidden advantage: speed without fatigue. Imagine leaving Brussels, heading towards Monaco, and arriving still feeling as if you had spent the day in a private club rather than on the road. The Silver Shadow made performance feel less like excitement and more like privilege. The luxury car, that became a driver's Rolls. The Silver Shadow appeared at a moment when the Rolls-Royce customer was changing. By the late 1960s and 1970s, wealth was no longer only old money in country houses. It was also pop stars. entrepreneurs, and people who wanted to drive themselves. That mattered because the Silver Shadow was more compact, more responsive, and less chauffeur-only in personality than many of its predecessors. Later improvements, including sharper steering on the Silver Shadow 2, made it feel more suited to the owner-driver. It still had deep carpets, wood veneer, and the atmosphere of a private lounge, but it was no longer just a car to be seen in from the rear seat. This helped redefine the Rolls-Royce image for a more modern, more self-confident generation. The hotel order that turned a Rolls into a global arrival ritual. Few cars understand theatre like a Rolls-Royce, and the Silver Shadow became part of that theatre far beyond Britain. One of the most memorable examples came in Hong Kong, where the Peninsula Hotel used Rolls-Royces as part of its luxury arrival experience. The idea was simple but powerful. Before a guest even reached the lobby, the car had already told them where they were. A Silver Shadow pulling up outside a grand hotel was not just transport, it was a moving reception room with chrome, leather, and silence. This gave the car a second life as an international symbol of arrival, especially in cities where British luxury carried a certain old-world glamour. The practical benefit was comfort, but the emotional effect was status before a single word was spoken. The Shadow that outlived its own replacement. The Silver Shadow was designed as a modern answer to a changing world, but its influence lasted far longer than a normal model cycle. Its basic engineering philosophy shaped Rolls-Royce luxury through the 1970s and beyond, touching later cars and the long-lived Corniche family. That is what makes its legacy so unusual. It was not merely a replacement for the Silver Cloud, it became the foundation for a new era at Crewe. The car's monocoque body, hydraulic sophistication, compact proportions, and owner-driver appeal all pointed towards the future of the marque. By the time production ended in 1980, the Silver Shadow had done more than carry wealthy passengers in silence. It had quietly rewritten what a Rolls-Royce could be, and left a shadow much longer than its name suggested. The Silver Shadow was more than a comfortable Rolls-Royce. It was the car that quietly reshaped the brand's future. It ended old traditions, embraced strange engineering, and turned silence into its own form of performance. Click to watch more stories about Britain's classic cars. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment with your thoughts on the Silver Shadow. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.